Alrighty, so this is my front bodice draft, and what I'm doing right now, I already started it. It's already at a little bit advanced. Let me show you one that is already finished. So this one is already finished, right? It already has my darts back off, um, dart point, my annotation line, my size, how many pieces to cut of this. Um, my neck line is already done. Shoulder, armhole, we're just going to measure the armhole to make sure I have the right measurement. Side seam, my dart, and my bust circle. So this is already done, ready to be cut, right? So I'm gonna pull this aside and I'm gonna finish this one up. I already did my bust circle on this because I already had my compass ready, so I just decided to do it, but this is one of the last steps that we need to do. So this point right here, that's the bust point according to our measurements from our pattern making book for fashion design. So I have my measurements ready and I have my book ready to go. Sign in. So I already have my book open, my measurements open, and now this is my B to G, which is let's see, B to G, that's my shoulder. No, this is my shoulder slope. This is my shoulder slope. So this line is my new strap. This is my new strap. This is where the side seam is gonna come. So now at this point, I'm gonna measure my side seam, right? And the side seam is 8 3/8. So I'm going to measure 8 3/8 at that point. I don't know if you guys can see my hair or not. Sorry for that. 8 3/8. I'm trying not to show my head. Okay, 8 3/8. So that's my side seam. So then I need to take, and then the book says on the side seam, N to P is 1 1/4 out from N. 1 1/4. And guess what? I cut it too short. I cut that thing too short. No. Well, just let me. I'm just going to attach another piece of paper. I had the piece, but I had to cut it out because it was too big for the table, and now it's too small for the pattern piece. That's okay. That's okay. All right. So I extended it. Right. This should not be so many pieces, but well, it is. It is what it is. So at my point N, I'm gonna mark 1 1/4, right? So then at this marking, I need to measure the same distance from my side seam, right? And it's 8 3/8. I'm going to start with a 1 so I can have a little bit of ruler out. So it's going to be 9 3/8 here. Okay. Once I have my side seam, and then it says N to P, mark the 1/4, O to P, side length, this is O to P, this is O over here, P over here, and then it says P to Q, is P to Q waist arc plus quarter is, let's B to F. And I'm already have it, and it's 4 inches, right? So I'm gonna draw a line first. I'm gonna draw a line from that point. I'm gonna draw a line, and then before I move the ruler, I'm gonna go 4 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 inches there. So this is my waist right here. Alrighty. So it says draw the legs. So we're gonna draw the dart legs, right? So I'm gonna come from my apex to the bottom of my dart, and that's 7 7/8. So I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna do the same thing. 7 7/8. 7 7/8. So that would be so that's my dart. So remember that every time we need to draw the line in the middle to drop off the dart point, we need to be on the center, right? I have 4.5. Easy number is 2 1/4. I'm gonna draw the line, and then she's telling us to drop off the dart point 5/8 of an inch. This is just a guideline, so I'm gonna go 5/8 of an inch here. I'm gonna mark, and I'm gonna redraw the dart legs. I like to have all those lines there, just to make sure I follow exactly what I needed, right? Yeah. So now I have my dart back off my dart point. This is my bust point or apex. This is my dart point, dart legs, right? And now I have to mark my waist. Okay. So on the waist, we're gonna keep a little bit of the flat right here. I'm gonna keep it flat, and I'm just gonna bring the ruler to it so I can get just right on my dart leg. So that's one of my sides, and then I'm gonna come back to the other side, and I'm gonna do the same thing, right? I'm gonna make sure I attach the straight part of the straight ruler, and just touching it there. Right. So now I have my waist, my dart, apex, side seam. It's very important that on the side seam we square off a line off of the angle line off of the side seam. It doesn't matter how long. And now we're going to draw the armhole. The armhole, you need to touch on the shoulder tip, on the guideline, on the line LM, and on my bottom line for my armhole. We can make it out of measurements, or we can just fit it there. So I stop right here. I don't take it all the way to the end because then I don't want to make it curve again. Alright. So now I have all of that. It says on the instructions, we need to go in 1/8 of an inch. I like to get the center, and that's 3 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 16ths. So it's be 1.5 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's the center, 1.5, 2, 4, 5. Right here, 1/8 of an inch. Right? This is what we're going inside to draw the curve. All this information is on the book, so And now I need to touch my shoulder neck, my marking 1/8 going in, and my guideline over here. Right? So I already have the curve. But if it's too flat right there, we just need to get our curve ruler, and we just need to blend that little piece right there. Right, we need to blend it. There, so now it's more, has more curve. I don't even need to erase it. I'm gonna leave it how it is. And now I'm gonna add the grain line. And the grain line, I'm going to make it with a marker, so I can have a little darker line. And it's coming all the way from the bottom, and I'm going to take it all the way to the top. And that's my grain line. I'm going to give it the name. Remember, initials backwards. From bodice, and I'm gonna give it the semester fall 2020 FSHD 1328 is a size 10. I need 1 to cut on the fold, and this is the center front. Alrighty, so I'm done with this part. So this one is done already. I just need to cut it and tape it a little better because I don't want it to fall apart on me. Right. So I have 1, I have 2. Right. And they're identical. It's just for me to practice more, I guess. Alrighty, so now I'm gonna start with the back. The back will be basically the same. The back will be basically the same. I'm just going to just do it. So I need my measurements. So now I need the measurements for the back, right? Okay. And then my instructions from the book. So I'm not gonna talk, so I can go a little bit faster. And whenever I need to say something that you guys need to know, then I will say something. right here when you're at the dart intake is 1.5. So once you're here on the dart intake, so make sure you 1.5 and just mark and get the center that is 3/4. Remember, 1.5, right? Half of 1 is half, and half of half is 1/4. You just add it, is 3/4. And that way you have to do it, you can do it on your head. You can memorize it on your head instead of doing the whole equation. But you can, right? It's 1.5 divided by 2 is 2 times 1 is 2 is 3 seconds times 1/2 is 3 times 1 is 3, 2 times 2 is 4, 3/4. So it's end up being the same thing, right? That's why I love math, because the numbers never changes. Alrighty, so so it's I to K, it's dart intake, and then I mark, right? On the book doesn't say it, but on the front we always square in a little guideline for the armhole, and you square it off your side seam. So on the back she doesn't mention it, but I like to do it. That way we keep the armhole, balanced. So once you do your side seam and it's 8 3/8, then you square in just a short little line, 2 inches, 1.5 inches. It really does not matter, because it's just the guideline. All right. So it says L2O square up, L2O square up from L 1 inch less than M to N. So M to N is 8 3/8. So it's 1 is less inch, so it's 7 3/8. We should have that measurement on the measuring chart. Alrighty, so how are we gonna do this to keep the center of the center of the dart parallel to the center back? We're gonna do this, right? So we're gonna come and measure from my center back to the middle of my dart, and it's 4 inches, or 4 1/32. So I'm gonna go with 4 1/32, right? So I'm going to come and I'm gonna mark, right? So this is where this is the middle of my dart. Or we can just square off the waist, but this way, like this, it's more accurate, I think. I don't know. So then I need to have 7 3/4. So I need to square from the waist, 7 3/4. So I'm gonna go 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 3/8. So that's the length of my dart. So and then it says to draw dart legs from all from O 1 inch past I and K, and then draw slightly curved lines from K to M and B to I. Okay, so it's 1/8. So once we start doing the dart legs, we're going to go past 1/8, right? Just to create the curve. So what I'm going to do right now, right here, I'm just going to come and draw the eighth. Yes. And then I'm going to draw my curves. And this is my waist. So remember that you need to leave the square from the back, right? Because I'm just going to blend this. I'm going to do the same thing here. This one has 1/8. I haven't drawn the other leg. Cool. Remember, it's a slight curve. It's not too curvy in the back. So let me check if the dart legs are the same length. 7 and 9/16. Oh, they're the same. 7 and 9/16, and then 7 and 9/16. Cool. Alrighty. So, so I have my darts, side seam. Let me sign napkin. Alrighty. So, so now we need to mark our shoulder. Right here is very important for the center of the shoulder dart to face the tip of the waist dart. We don't have to try it all the way. I just like to do it to make sure that it follows, right? And I'm going to do the same thing that the book is doing. But she says 2, 3, and 3 inches. And just the dotted line to show that it's, you know, it's going towards the waist dart, like she has it exactly how she has it on the book. So we almost done. We already have shoulder dart. We always have waist dart, center back. This is the arm plate level or a cross back. This is a cross back, and then we have our shoulder dart, side seam. So before we cut, we're going to start making sure like the shoulder meets the shoulder on the front, the side seam meets the side seam on the back, and we're gonna be doing all that stuff. But right now, we already have the waist. So let's do the neckline. She's saying that we should square 3/8 of an inch this way, right? 3/8 of an inch. Square it off 3/8 of an inch. Of an inch. And then we're gonna use our curve ruler, and we're gonna attach straight line to our angle line to the straight line. Takes a little bit of finessing, but there. That's the back. Awesome. Right. Let's do the armhole. The armhole guideline, across back, and shoulder tip. See how I like to do it is like as long as the ruler touches the guideline, we're still okay. So that's my armhole. And remember, when the curve touches the straight, it makes a funny angle. So we need to soften up that angle. So I just grab a smaller curve, and I'm blending, right? Oh, came out ugly. So I'm blending the little corner right there. Okay, so I'm blending the little corner there. All right. So now I have my armhole, shoulder, neck, center front, waist, waist dart. So now I'm going to do my grain line. 1 inch going in. Remember that this is our sloper. Sloper does not have similars. Oh no, that's so ugly. Oh no. Right, and I'm going to call it the same that I did call my center back. Right, I'm going to use my pencil instead. It's J. I'm going to call it back. From 2020. It's HD 1328. So it's 10. Now I'm going to need two, right, left and right. This is my center back. I'm going to change this, and I'm just going to do my initials backwards. SJ Bodice sloper, because I already telling it that it's a center back. So I'm going to get rid of my, so that way I don't have to have double names. Okay, so this is SJ. Come back and redraw my line. Cool. Alrighty, so this is my back, and it's pretty much I'm done with this. So now I'm going to measure my front to my back to make sure it does measure well. So I'm going to measure my front and my back. Yay. Let me move it a little bit so you can see that it's pretty close. Looks very good right there. Alrighty. So now I'm going to do my shoulder seam. Let me do my shoulder seam. From my neck, let me do it this way. No, let me do it this way because they're backwards, right? It should have been neck with neck, but it's not working that way right now. Okay, so I'm going from here to here. I'm going to mark right here because that's where the end of my dart, and then I'm going to move the pattern, and then I'm going to measure from my marking to the end. And there it is. Looks pretty good. Awesome, awesome. Alright, so now I know that my side and my shoulder meets, right? So now I'm going to be able to cut it. And cut it and tape it. So once I cut this, then I'm gonna make sure my darts work. You need to be so precise when you're cutting, because you know all this hard work that we've been doing, so you don't mess up the pattern. Okay, so the neck is done, and then I'm gonna do my armhole. Then we're gonna measure the armhole. So by the time we need to make our sleeve, we'll be ready to go. So this is my slipper. Let me cut. Here's my looper. Let me show you again. If I measure my side seams, they're perfect. And then you can see how pretty the armhole looks. And then my side seam, my shoulder seam, if I come here and I measure from edge to edge, you see my marking there, and then I move my marking, and then I come here. And this right here, I'm gonna create a notch, just because when this is close, I want for the dart to match this right here, my point. So this is done. So let me cut this one, and then we're gonna check on our darts. So once we have our dart, right, I'm going to close the dart to make sure it's even, that I have both of the darts legs even. And it seems like it's just a little bit messed up right there. So I'm gonna cut. I just made it a little bit bigger than. Measurement was right, I just didn't cut it right. Okay, so now I'm gonna come back and measure it again. Measures better there. Cool. Alrighty, so now let me see if I can do my shoulder. Alright, so once I have the shoulder, my dart shoulder, then I'm going to fold it and it's just a tiny bit off. Not much, just a tiny bit. Well, not really. Just like cutting. Yay, with that. Awesome. Let's see. And my armhole. Awesome. Okay, so now I have my front. Let's see if you guys can see it. So now I have my front and my back slipper. I hope I'm not doing it backwards. Right, front and back. This way.